I didn't make a mistake. I didn't misread the room or overthink a bad feeling. It was certainty. Cold, heavy, absolute. After that weird, too quiet meeting with my father, Richard, and my sister, Angela, something in my stomach twisted. Not anxiety, recognition. So I went somewhere I hadn't needed to visit in years. The secure archives of Archer Digital Ventures. Rows of steel filing cabinets, motion sensor lights flickering awake. And there it was, a single black folder. No label, no tags, no project code. My hands were shaking before I even opened it. Inside wasn't a draft, not a proposal, not brainstorming notes. It was finalized, notarized, legally binding. A full transfer of 100% of the company's voting shares to Angela. Title of Chief Executive Officer, also to Angela. And my name? Not once. 10 years of my life erased. That betrayal didn't just hurt. It shattered something that had been holding me together for years. Before I go deeper into this story, tell me real quick in the comments, where are you watching from? And what time is it for you? I genuinely love seeing our community check in from all over the world. Now, let's go back. My name is Camille. I'm 32. And for a decade, I wasn't just an employee. I was the engine, head of strategy and operations, which sounds corporate and shiny, but really, I was the one who made things work. I built the analytics system from scratch, the one that tracked customer behavior, optimized ad spend, and doubled our revenue in 3 years. I missed weddings, birthdays, vacations, appointments, life. I once sat in a church parking lot in a bridesmaid dress doing a conference call because my father forgot a client meeting. I closed the deal. They took the pictures without me. My 20s? Gone. Buried under, sorry, I have to work. But I didn't mind, because of the promise. My father would put his arm around me after a big account landed and say, one day this will all be yours, Camille. You've got the head for it. I believed him. I built my entire identity around it. People ask why I stayed so long, why I didn't push back, why I didn't walk away earlier. Because when you become the workhorse of the family, your exhaustion becomes your worth. Your sacrifice becomes your identity, and you start to believe you owe them your life simply because they keep taking it. And the people who benefit? Oh, trust me, they don't stop you. They feed it. Everything changed the minute my sister Angela came home. Angela, 29, beautiful, charismatic, Instagram certified. She'd been finding herself in Bali, then building her brand in New York. I had spreadsheets. She had selfies. And my father? He was mesmerized. Instantly. Within a week of her return, he called a company-wide meeting. That was the first time I felt the ground shift under me. He stood on stage and said the words that ripped 10 years out of my chest. Please welcome our new CEO, Angela Archer. There was applause. I heard it like static. Her qualifications? None. Her experience? 0. Her understanding of the business? -10. Her first decisions? She changed the font, repainted the break room, posted #girlboss selfies, left the office at 4 p.m. every day. My work, my projections, my strategies were suddenly dismissed as too rigid. My father called it fresh perspective. I called it what it was, delusion wrapped in lip gloss. But this wasn't favoritism, not just that. It was a family system, the golden child and the workhorse.
Angela was charming. She got praise. I was competent. I got responsibility. My father needed her to be the genius, because then he could justify overlooking me. He needed me to be the reliable one, because then he never had to question his own choices. And I was expected to keep carrying the weight. My mom stole my identity for a $3 million payout and expected me to stay quiet. The thing people don't tell you about trust is that it doesn't shatter in one moment. It leaks, quietly, silently, drop by drop, until the day the whole bucket tips over. And that's exactly how things had been with my mom. Growing up, she wasn't the nurturing, soft-spoken type. She was the everyone owes me something type. The kind of woman who could turn any inconvenience into a dramatic betrayal of her existence. If someone forgot to return her call, they're jealous of me. If a cashier corrected her change, they're trying to scam me. If a neighbor didn't wave, they must be plotting something. To her, the world wasn't just unfair. It was a battlefield, and everyone was an enemy. Everyone except me. At least, that's what I used to believe. But even back then, there were red flags. Like how she used my school ID to take out a store credit card, just temporarily. Or how she once signed my name on an apartment application because her credit was going through a rough patch. Or the time she borrowed my social security card to fix something with taxes. I was too young to understand any of it, too loyal, too scared to question her. Because when you grow up with someone who controls everything, the house, the money, the mood, you learn the number one rule: don't upset her. But even with all that, even with every chaotic moment, I never imagined she'd cross the line she eventually crossed. $3 million. That number would become the knife that sliced my life into before and after. But the story didn't start with the money. It started with a phone call. A calm, friendly voice saying, "Hi, we're calling about your recent claim approval." My heart had dropped because I hadn't filed any claims. I hadn't applied for anything. There shouldn't have been anything to approve. And definitely not something big enough to send 3 separate letters the same week, all addressed to me. Letters I didn't fully understand. Letters with numbers so large they barely felt real. At first, I thought it was a mistake, a mix-up, a paperwork glitch. But there was one detail that changed everything. Every document had been signed with my name, but not my handwriting. It was hers. The same sharp loops, the same angled strokes, the same rushed edges she'd been writing with my whole life. The same handwriting on every school permission slip, every angry complaint letter, every note she left me on the fridge. My mom wasn't just forging my name. She was forging my entire identity. And the worst part? She didn't even try to hide it. Not from me. Not from anyone. In her mind, this was normal. Just another favor her child should do without asking questions. And I know what you're wondering. What kind of mother does that? The kind who believes the world owes her everything, and her child owes her even more. By the time I discovered it, the claim wasn't just approved. The money had already been paid out. A full $3 million under my name, my records, my identity. And she expected me to smile and stay quiet and pretend everything was fine. But the story doesn't end there, because what she did next, that's when everything exploded. The day everything snapped started with a knock on my door. Not a gentle, "Hey, it's me" kind of knock. No, this was the kind of pounding that makes your stomach drop before your brain even catches up. I opened the door expecting maybe a delivery, or a neighbor, or honestly, anything normal.
Instead, two federal agents stood there, badges out, serious faces, zero hesitation. That alone was terrifying, but the words that came next, those were worse. "We need to speak with you about a fraudulent insurance payout made under your name." My blood went cold. I didn't even know what to say. How do you explain to strangers that you've lost control of your own identity because your own mother stole it? I invited them inside, hand shaking, trying to keep my voice steady as I said, I didn't file anything. Someone used my name. They asked who had access to my documents, who knew my social security number, who lived with me, who could have filled out all the forms, and the whole time, one name kept flashing in my head like a neon sign I desperately wanted to unplug. My mother. But saying it out loud felt impossible, because who wants to admit that the person who raised them is capable of that level of betrayal? They slid a file onto my table. A thick one. A stack of documents, all with my name on them. My handwriting, except not my handwriting. Her handwriting. Line after line after line of my identity, signed away in strokes I recognized instantly. I felt sick. One of the agents said, "We need to know if you participated willingly. This is a federal investigation." And that's when the panic hit. Because even though I had done nothing, the evidence said otherwise. The system believed the person on those forms, and that was her, not me. I told them everything, that I didn't apply for any payout, that I'd only recently found out something was wrong, that someone close to me had used my documents before. But I still couldn't say her name. Not yet. After they left, I called her. My hands were still trembling when she answered like nothing was wrong. "Hey, sweetheart. Did you get the package I left at your door?" A package? I'd ignored it earlier. It was still sitting near the entrance, a big, fancy-looking gift bag. My voice cracked when I asked, "Mom, did you use my name for something?" Silence. Then she sighed, annoyed, like I was the one causing problems. "Oh my God, are we really doing this? I told you I needed help. It's not a big deal." Not a big deal? $3 million under federal investigation? In my name? I told her agents came to my house. She didn't panic. She didn't sound scared. She didn't apologize. She said, "Relax, just tell them you helped me. Families protect each other." Families protect each other. Those 4 words felt like a knife twisting deeper with every syllable. Because what she really meant was, cover for me, lie for me, throw your future away for me. And then she finally said the sentence that broke me. "If you don't help me, you're no child of mine." I opened the gift she'd left at my door. Inside was a designer box, a ribbon, tissue paper, and at the bottom, a handwritten note in that same sharp, familiar handwriting. "For everything I've done for you, don't forget who you owe." Not "love you," not "thank you," not "I'm sorry." Just guilt, control, debt. The final confirmation that the woman I grew up loving
had never actually loved me. Not really. She loved what she could take from me. And she'd just taken $3 million. But the storm was far from over, because what she did next turned this from a betrayal to a war. I thought things couldn't get worse after that call, but that was before I learned what she'd done next. My phone started blowing up the very next morning. Unknown numbers, strange messages, coworkers asking if I was okay, people sending screenshots. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then it clicked. My mother had gone public. She posted a massive Facebook rant, one of those dramatic, paragraph-long explosions filled with half-truths, lies, and emotional manipulation. It had already been shared dozens of times by relatives who didn't even bother asking me first. In her post, she claimed that I had scammed her, that I had taken money from her account, that I had broken her heart and destroyed her life, that I was ungrateful, selfish, dishonest, that she didn't know who I'd become. And the worst part? People believed her. All the relatives who never bothered to check on me suddenly had opinions. Aunts who hadn't seen me since childhood were commenting, "She deserves to be ashamed. My sister gave up everything for her. This is what happens when kids forget where they come from." It felt like drowning while everyone watched. People I barely knew were texting me asking if the rumors were true, telling me to apologize, telling me to fix things with her like I was the villain here. She didn't just lie about me. She flipped the entire story upside down and painted herself as the victim. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. It felt like someone had taken a piece of my identity and ripped it apart all over again. This wasn't just identity theft anymore. It was character assassination.
Public humiliation. And everyone bought the act. Except one person. My cousin Lena. The only one in my family who had ever noticed the cracks beneath my mother's perfect mask. She called me and said, "I know this isn't you. Tell me everything." For the first time in days, I exhaled. I told her everything about the fake forms, the agents at my door, the $3 million payout, the phone call, the manipulative note. And unlike everyone else, she didn't question me. She didn't doubt me. She didn't lecture me. She said, "This is big. You need a lawyer. And you need to stop protecting her." Her saying that out loud hit me harder than I expected, because she was right. I had been protecting her my whole life, making excuses, absorbing blame, taking hits meant for her, pretending everything was normal. And now she was willing to let me go to prison to save herself. That realization broke something in me, something that had been holding on for too long. Lena came over with a thick binder of every message, post, and screenshot she could gather. She helped me organize everything chronologically. She even helped me draft a timeline of events. But the hardest part came when my lawyer asked the question I'd been avoiding. "Do you want to press charges against your mother?" Those words echoed. Heavy, ugly, final. Press charges. Against the woman who raised me? Against the woman who used my identity? Against the woman who would watch me burn, rather than admit what she did? I didn't answer right away. My heart wanted to scream no. My brain wanted to scream yes. But my entire soul felt torn in half. I kept replaying her last words. "If you don't help me, you're no child of mine." And that was the moment I understood something painful and true. She had stopped being my mother long before I stopped being her child. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the wall, replaying every memory, every birthday, every argument, every guilt trip, every moment she'd twisted the narrative to make herself the hero. I thought about how she'd always told people she gave me everything, while quietly draining me, using me, shaping me into her personal safety net. And then I thought about the agents at my door,
The risk I was facing, the public humiliation, the lies, the manipulation, the millions of dollars in fraud tied to my name. It wasn't just betrayal, it was destruction. Calculated destruction. The next morning, I walked into my lawyer's office, sat down, and said, "I'm ready." He nodded once. "Are you pressing charges?" My voice didn't shake this time. "Yes." 2 hours later, the case officially opened. And that's when she did the one thing I never saw coming. The thing that turned the entire situation from a legal nightmare into a personal war. The call came at 6:12 p.m. I was sitting on my couch, exhausted from the constant pressure, when my phone lit up with a familiar number. Hers. For a moment, I considered ignoring it, but something in me needed to hear what she'd say now that she knew charges were filed. I answered. Before I could speak, she launched into it. "So this is who you are now, after everything I've done for you." Her voice was sharp, shaky, dripping with accusation. I stayed silent, and that silence drove her wild. "You're really dragging your own mother into court. You think those agents will protect you? You think anyone will believe you over me?" Then her tone shifted, rage softening into venomous sweetness. "We can make this go away. Just tell them you signed the forms. Take responsibility. Be a good daughter for once." For once. That phrase hit differently after everything she caused. I finally spoke, and my own voice surprised me. Steady, calm, tired in a way I'd never been before. "You didn't just steal my name. You stole my future. You didn't think about what would happen to me." She scoffed. "It's just paperwork. You're being dramatic." My hands started shaking, not from fear, but from clarity. I said, "You tried to ruin me, and you thought I'd stay quiet forever." The silence on the other end told me she finally understood something. I wasn't the same daughter she could guilt into obedience. Not anymore. Her next words were low, almost trembling. "If I go down, I'm taking you with me." She hung up. It should have scared me. Maybe a part of me thought it would, but instead I felt something unexpected. Relief. For the first time in my life, I wasn't protecting her lies. I wasn't bending myself into the version she wanted. I wasn't the shield she hid behind whenever the consequences of her actions got too close. I was standing on my own side. Finally. A week later, the agents contacted me. They had enough evidence to move forward. Not because of me, but because they had uncovered records, call logs, forged signatures, documents tied to her device, a paper trail so messy it looked like she never expected anyone to look closely. She had used my identity for a $3 million payout. She had plans for more. She had a pattern. And little by little, the truth cracked through the perfect image she'd built. Relatives who defended her before suddenly grew quiet. Friends who praised her motherhood started avoiding the topic. People stopped sharing her Facebook rant. Some even deleted their comments entirely. Nobody apologized, of course, but I wasn't looking for apologies. I was looking for myself, the version of me that had been buried under years of manipulation and emotional debt. During the hearings, she didn't look at me once. She walked past me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe she only recognized the version of me she could control. The real me was someone she'd never taken the time to know. When the verdict came, I didn't celebrate. Identity theft, fraud, false statements, federal charges, the weight of it felt heavy, even though she'd done it, not me. I loved her once. Even now, I don't know if that love was real or conditioned. But watching her taken away felt like grieving a person who died long before the courtroom ever existed. People always talk about justice like it's clean, like you're supposed to feel victorious. But the truth? Justice hurts too. It cuts away things you thought you needed. It forces you to see people clearly. Sometimes it forces you to let go of someone you spent your whole life trying to hold on to. In the months that followed, I rebuilt quietly. I fixed my credit, closed accounts she'd opened, filed reports, restarted my life piece by piece. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't some sudden feeling of freedom. It was slow, ugly, uncomfortable work. But I was doing it for me. Not for her approval, not for her comfort, not to keep the peace. And somewhere in that process, I realized something powerful. You don't owe loyalty to people who use your love as leverage. You don't owe silence to someone who destroys you and calls it sacrifice. You don't owe your life to someone just because they gave you one. Blood isn't a free pass. Family isn't a shield for cruelty. And love doesn't mean surrender. My mother stole my identity to save herself, but losing her helped me find something bigger. Myself, my voice, my boundaries, my future. And this time, they all belong to me.